Well, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Feed My Sheep. Today I'll be walking you through a couple of different processes involving vegetable preparation. Now, in your family budget, there are three major expenses. You're going to have your dairy product, you're going to have your produce, which spoils relatively quick, and your most expensive by far is your proteins. I want to touch base on all of those a little bit today. That way you can feed your family high quality product that is one ingredient on the label. Everything I'm going to work with today is one ingredient on the label. And that way you are in control of what you're putting into your family's bodies. Okay? I was always taught when you go to the grocery store, always shop the outside counters. Your meat, your dairy, your produce. Okay? And I want to touch a little bit on carbohydrates today. Touch a little bit on the foods that most of us do eat. I see it with my students all the time. They come into class first hour with a Monster drink. They have some kind of bag of chips and usually a donut. They're supporting the Quick Trip or whatever. That's all awesome, except most of that food is not good for your diet. Okay, so I am a victim of that. We'll leave that where it's at. So today I want to walk you through a couple of different processes with your produce. Again, we're looking at some expensiver items. Pardon me. So let's just get into it. The first thing I want to touch on is how much stuff we throw away. Okay, we throw away a lot of food in our country. It's a crime, actually. A lot of stuff that's in your refrigerator, say you bought some celery, forgot it was in there, or it's been a week or two and you take it out and it's kind of limpy and wilty. I want to show you a way to rehydrate some of your produce today so that you can still utilize it for your family. Okay? Celery is limp and wimpy and flexible. This is not, but if it were, let's assume it's a very cellulose product. All you need to do is nip off the end, put it into a thing of water, put it in a refrigerator, and just like flowers for your girlfriend, okay, or for your boyfriend or whatever, they'll rehydrate. The cellular structure inside the celery or the carrot or whatever is limpy wimpy, as long as it's not spoiled, will rehydrate and the cell structure will replump, if you would, and now that product in a day or two is ready to utilize for soup, salad, sauces, eating, whatever. Same with a carrot. Now, all of my produce is washed. I want to touch on that for a second. All washed, all dried. Okay, washing produce or washing any type of food is not like washing your dishes. Okay, you don't put it in a dishwasher. You don't have a hot, soapy sink water. Okay, you have cold water, free flowing. Let it run. Scrub your product off lightly with a cloth or with a scrub brush, whatever you have. All right, and then just let it dry and it's ready for your refrigerator. I suggest you always wash all your produce. Okay, you have no idea whose hands have been on it. It comes from the field. Everything is off a bush, off a tree, off the ground, or in the ground in the case of potatoes or peanuts. So you have no idea what, for the most part, is in there, right? Livestock, waste, animals walk over it, urine, could be anything that was handled by the people who picked the food, processed the food, trucked the food, put it on your grocery shelf, all right? Then somebody, how many people handled it in the grocery store, good God almighty, and where have their hands been before it ever gets to your table? So I highly advise every single thing you buy as far as produce, wash it, wash it, wash it, okay? And then, when it's ready to consume, you're in a good spot, all right? Even in the case of this carrot, it has a skin on it, or an orange, or something that's got a peel, it still has been handled. As soon as you touch the orange, you peel the orange, now your hands are cross-contaminated, you touch the fruit, same difference. So you always want to wash all your produce, okay? Start that out right out of the gate. So, let's get into processing. Our celery is hydrating. I want to trim a couple more of those up quick. All right? I'm a huge composter. We've talked about this before. Everything goes out in the pile. It goes back in our gardens for next season. Let it deteriorate. Our leaves get raked. All of that goes into compost. All right? Ends and trimmings from carrots, celery, onions, scallions, anything of that perspective. I try to stay away from cabbages and peppers and stuff like that because they can tend to be a little off flavoring. But all of this can be utilized in making stocks. We'll be doing a segment at some point down the road on stock making. So we keep all of that for stock preparation. I'll keep my carrot skins, all my celery trimmings, my onion peels, anything of that respect. I do not use the stems, okay, anything that's been exposed to the sun for a root vegetable. That'll trim off and compost that, but everything else on the carrot I will utilize, okay? So let's just get into carrots as we go. You want to have yourself a nice peeler. I tend to have a couple of nice toys. The old standby is the best. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Peel your carrot. Flip it over. Do a half at a time. Whoop, begging your pardon. Half at a time. You got to leave a little work for my editor. We have our sink water prepared back there for sanitizing solution. Again, gallon of hot water, tablespoon of bleach, tablespoon of soap. We'll use that to wipe down this counter between every vegetable I handle. I'm doing things in sequential order today on this cutting board so I can minimize my cleanup. We're going to do all of our produce preparatory first. Then we're going to transition into our starches. And then we're going to finish with our proteins. And in the protein order today I have pork loin we're going to work with, chicken we're going to work with. I got a pheasant back here we're going to play with, and bacon. Now, bacon's probably as close to a processed food as I work with, for the most part, okay? It is a solid muscle before it's sliced. We'll get into all of that when we get so far, but it does go through a process, so that augments. What I'd like to educate you all on is you do all the processing. You add the spices, you add the seasonings, you add the whatever preservative, so that you can control what your family is consuming. We're going to wipe that off with our sanitizing solution. We got our scrap bucket here for compost. Away we go. We're going to nip off the ends, stock. Nip off the other end, compost. Now, talk about yield. A lot of times I see my students doing this when they go through processing the carrot. Okay? Now, the way I like to teach it is, all you need to get rid of is this. There's 2 ounces that you can use for your family. All right? You do that over 10 carrots, you throw away 20 ounces of carrot. So you always want to control how much waste you have. Okay? That's your job as a parent, that's your job as an educator, that's your job as. Okay? In the compost heap, and away we go. All of these, again, if they were wilty, set them in the water overnight, and they will rehydrate. All right? So, that's carrot processing. Celery comes in a bunch, usually is how I buy it. I utilize end to end. I already trimmed this up for you guys, cut off the end. Very, very thin, just so it frees up all of the branches. I use my leafy ends, I chop all that up and put that in my bowl of lettuce. Okay, that way we can utilize that as a mixed green. Trim off all the other end down to where it gets past the nub. And we can use this whole celery now in your kid's lunch. You can make ants on a log, you can stuff that with peanut butter or whatever. You can portion it down, you can dice it, you can slice it, you can do whatever you want with the celery. I do apologize that I didn't leave it from the beginning, but all your celery then is ready to go. Keep this in your refrigerator, wrapped, damp paper towel, utilize it for 2-3 days, and you're in a good spot. So, got our celery. Next, let's take a look at a pepper. Pepper, move these out of the way a little bit. This is for my finished product. Pepper, a lot of people just lop off the ends, and then they go through the process of trying to cut this rocky, rolling pepper. Moving around, people get cut. Saw staff do it all the time. Okay? First thing you want to do with pepper is make sure there's no stickers on it. Can't tell you how many batches of salsa we made where there's a sticker chopped up in it. Try to avoid that. Sharp knife, stand your pepper on end, cut from the stem down, stem down, and again all these peppers are washed. That'll free up the bottom, that goes in your compost. Utilizing as much product again, maximizing your yield to your family. If you're not comfortable with a big knife, you can use a paring knife, and all you're doing is cutting this pith out and the seeds. Now, if you want the seeds, you want something a little spicier if you like, leave the seeds in there. You're making a salsa, you're making a relish, whatever, leave the seeds in. If you don't want the seeds, just tap them out. And when I'm doing this process, I'll take 4 or 5 peppers at a time, because again, I prep for the week, and I'll get them all processed up. Now, from here, you got yourself a product that'll lay flat, pardon me, it ain't going to roll around on you. When you cut a pepper, you want to cut from the flesh side, not the skin. A lot of times I'll see people trying to force their knife through the skin, right? Tends to be a little bit tough. Flip that over, and you cut into the flesh, and now you can guide your knife to whatever cut you want without it rolling, rocking, and what have you, okay? Come across the seed, pick it up, your choice. You want to do a stir fry? Put it on a bias. Okay? There you go. Now you're ready to go in the pan for your Asian stir fry. You want to dice it for a salsa? Remember, east and west, north and south. The more times you cut it, each direction, the smaller your dice is going to be. So it's all up to you, the consumer. Also remember that every cell you rupture will speed up the deterioration process. So if you dice this all up real small, I would suggest you got your salsa in the mix, you got your guacamole in the mix, whatever you're making, all right, your chili, what have you. That way it goes straight into the pot. If I were going to, say, use this pepper in 3 days for a salad, I might leave it this far processed and then cut it up fresh when I want. Again, you don't rupture the cells, you slow down the deterioration process. But that's why produce tends to be a little more expensive, because it rots fast, okay? It's in that zone where it'll spoil quickly. So you want to make sure when you're working with an expensive product, not from the middle of your store, that you control your yields, right? You want to sell this product. You want to feed this to your family. You do not want to have it spoil, okay? So here's our pepper. Got a little house party tomorrow we're going to use that with the rest of the components we're processing today. So clean as you go, clean as you go. It's all part of mise en place. Clean as you go. All right. Next, what do we want to play with next? What an onion. Pardon me. My editor will have to take care of it. Onion we touched on the last episode. You want to maximize your yield on an onion again. The skins, once clean, are totally usable unless it's got spoilage. That's a totally different animal. You want to use your paring knife. Insert the tip of your blade. Turn the onion. Don't turn the blade. You never want to force a blade through anything. And you remove the skin. Now this can go in our stock making. Do the other end the same way. In the stock, now onion skins will give your stock a very nice color. Very rich pigmentation. So if you're doing a beef stock, for instance, or you're doing a veal stock, or something of that respect where you want to have a little more dark in your stock, use the skins. If you prefer to have a white stock, then just use the white part of the onion. Okay? So it's all up to what your end product is that you want to have. Okay? Grab a hold of the top, get a hold of the skin, peel it out. Now your onion is prepped. Now, in our house, we do 2 or 3 onions ahead. We try to take 1 day a week just to prep. Usually tends to be Sunday. The prep ones cook 3-4 meals at a time, right? So that's the whole idea. That way you don't have to be in the kitchen all day, right? Still want to watch the ball game come Sunday afternoon. From here, you can do whatever you want with the onion. Dice it, prep it, leave it whole if you want. I've cut these in half and put them on the grill. Cut them into rings. You can make onion rings out of it, anything you want out of the onion. That's your choice and preference. So, onion. Peels go in the stock pot. Next, what do we got over there, Mr. Editor? How about a cucumber? Now, I have worked with onion, so I want to make sure I clean my blades. And we want to sanitize our board real well to get rid of that onion skin. The other thing you can do once you wipe it off is just flip your board. You can just do that. 2 sides to every board. Okay? You just want to wash it before you put it on your wife's tablecloth. She won't be too happy with you when she got a big stain. Okay? Okay, cucumber. I like to use a serrated knife whenever I'm working with something that's got a tough skin. You could use this on your peppers, at least to cut them initially, but again, go back to your chef's knife to cut it from the pulpy side. Cucumber, wash it up, nip it off. Again, you want to maximize your yield. So as small as possible. You don't want to lop off a whole bunch of it in the trash. And then what I just do is if you want to slice it, end to end, slice it on your salad or whatever. If you want to dice it, cut it in half, cut it in quarters. All right, and now you can have nice little wedges. Same thing. And draw, don't saw again, okay? See how I'm putting the knife past the product and pulling it through one swoop motion. You saw it, crumbles and falls apart while you're working with it, okay? So, here we got our little cucumber. Rest of it, put in the fridge, saran wrap on the end, use that for your next time you want to make a salad, okay? We go through a lot of salad in our house. I know looking at me you wouldn't say that, but we eat a lot of salad. We prep the stuff ahead of time. Then we come home from work, all exhausted, make a salad, got some leftover brats from the grill last night, whatever the case, and then 2-3 days worth of salad fixes, we do it again, okay? So, that's how you go about processing the cucumber. You can pickle these too. We did a segment before on pickling cucumbers. I like to take them out of my garden versus out of the grocery store. Flavor profiles are substantially better. That's just me. So, tomato. Now, I have to apologize. My tomato has a slice out of it. I had to have a hamburger last night, so we took a slice of tomato. But, tomato, same thing. You want to use a serrated knife. Skins tend to be a little bit tougher. You don't want to fight a knife through it. Plus, you don't want to crush a tomato. You want to slice nicely through that fruit. Okay? Same thing. Draw, don't saw. Draw, don't saw. Couple nice slices, tomato. Put that on your salad, on your burger, whatever. If you want to dice this thing, I always cut off center from the core. That leaves us that chunk. And I was always taught, don't cut in the air. That's what the airline chef does. So for the demonstration purposes, I will not. That'll go in your compost. Again, maximizing yield. And now, draw, don't saw. That's why. Had to do that part of the demo. Draw these through, and now you got a tomato that's ready for your salad. You can marinate these also. Do a tomato and onion salad, pickle them, that marinated vegetable salad. All of that works for our product. Okay. Lettuces, you just have yourself a bowl on the ready and you go through and chop them. Now, again, you got to wash them. Not in your soapy water. So take the whole head, submerge it in cold water, slosh it around, all right? And then when you trim off the core end, you'll be able to see if there's any dirt, any residue, anything left in there. This is in your compost heap, or it works great for chicken feed. And then you take your leaves apart. If you got anything that's funky, you got anything that's black or deteriorating, you got anything that's getting moldy, what have you, and you make sure your lettuce is clean all the way through. This is very clean. I would not bank on having it cleaned at your grocer's case. Again, hands. The other thing I would recommend is just use cold water. You don't have to go out and buy the vegetable cleaning soap or the detergent or whatever they're trying to sell you at the grocer's case to clean your veggies. All you need is cold water, right? Cold water will take care of it. And from here, you can just cut your lettuce up. Again, draw, don't saw, to whatever size you want. Now, we do a mixed lettuces at our house, so we got the romaine. We'll put some mosh in there maybe. Might buy some mixed greens, okay? Some red cabbage in there if you like. Iceberg lettuce if you prefer, right? All depends on your personal likes, dislikes. Go through your lettuce, process it, and you're in a good spot. So now we got all our salad makings for the party tomorrow. Okay? Life is good. Potatoes. Potatoes are good for you, right? You go buy these at the store, and you look at the label, and it says potato. Okay? Same with all of your produce. None of this has to have proof in labeling. Not needed. It's a single item. It's good for your body. If the Lord made it, we should consume it. If man made it, a little bit of caution. Okay. So we got boiling potatoes here. We got little mini Yukon Golds. Okay. Boiling potato versus a baking potato. Both of them have different structures within as far as moisture content. Boiling potato lends itself to just that, boiling. Okay, so this would be your Redskins. This would be your Yukon Golds. This would be your little baby spuds, okay? Baking potatoes, your Idaho Russets, your Wisconsins, what have you, they're made for baking. They're a little more mealier. They're drier. They don't tend to work well for like potato salads. You want to use a boiling potato for that. But I've seen it both ways. So it's your personal preference what you want to do with your potatoes, okay? Potato, if you want to skin it, it's skinned the same exact way that you peel the carrots, all right? Peel them off. I prefer to eat the skins. It's better. There's your nutritional quality, I believe, all right? So we're going to get these potatoes boiling. Get them on the stove. Got a pan right here. Quite simple after they're washed. Cover them with cold water and a little bit of salt. Put them on your stove. We're going to talk about fork tender here in a minute, okay? Don't need a lot of water, just till it covers a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of salt in there. When I say a little bit, I'm just sprinkling. The salt is really not going to affect the flavor of the potatoes much. It's more to accelerate the cooking process. Put them on the stove. Bring them up to a boil. Depending on the size of the potato is going to determine how long it takes you to boil them. Now these are small. They might be done in 15-20 minutes. If you were doing a large red skin or a red bee potato, something of that respect, you're going to boil it longer. Now, boiling is the wrong term here. We want to simmer these. Okay, boiling is water at 212 degrees. Okay, we want to cut that heat back as soon as it comes up to a boil. Cut the heat back till it's a nice rolling simmer. And that way we're not going to bust our potatoes all to death inside. The exterior will get done faster, of course, than the interior. So if we boil the snot out of the exterior, it's going to be soft and pasty before the center gets done. And all we're going to use is a fork. Poke them. If it falls off the fork, plenty done. Quite that simple. If it sticks to the fork, you need a little more cooking time. Okay? Now that depends. That depends on what you're going to do with it afterwards. Like I would bake off a bunch of potatoes in a batch, run my oven one time, okay? Use of electricity. Then I will have 2 or 3 meals out of that. So when I bake off a batch of potatoes, I'll have a baked potato for supper tonight. The next potato that's in there, I'll refrigerate down. I might dice that up for American fries for breakfast, fry it off, or shred it down for hash browns. Go that route. I might use it for potato salad, skin it down. I might cut these in half, open them up, pull out the meat, use the skin, and do twice baked potato. So it all depends on what you want to do with it. You make a batch of mashed potatoes tonight, you got some left over, you got your skins on the ready. Take your mashed potatoes tomorrow, put a little bacon, a little sour cream, little chives maybe, or green onions into that mix. And then put it through a pastry bag or scoop it back into the potato. Put some cheese in there if you like. Put that back in your oven. Now that's a twice baked potato. You're baking it again until that gets hot and bubbly and it gets a beautiful golden crust around the outside. Okay? So that is many, many, many ways to utilize the same potato. Leftover boiled potatoes, I might put them on the grill tonight when I'm making myself a pork chop or whatever. So you can utilize these 2 and 3 times. A lot of people will make a product and when it's done on the table, it goes right to the garbage. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, a lot of times with leftovers especially, or repurposed if you rather, the flavor profiles develop better as they sit in the refrigerator and all the spices and the seasonings get to meld. So when you reheat it tomorrow, you got a much better flavored product. Okay? So, baked potatoes from last evening. Now we can do a lot of different stuff with it. I just talked about hollowing one out for twice baked. Okay? You want to set it on its end. Set it on its end so it doesn't do this for you, right? Rolling around. Just cut it in half. Now it's going to sit on your plate, nice and flat. Okay? If you wanted to oil this and take it out to your grill, cross market, you got a beautiful second roasted potato, if you would, or grilled potato. We're going to pull the centers out of that. Just use a spoon. And you can leave as much flesh on the potato as you like. This product now can get stuffed. If you want to put crab salad in there, you could do that. You can do that mashed potato process for twice baked like I just mentioned. You can make potato skins out of these. Spritz them with a little bit of olive oil, throw them in your air fryer, get them all nice and caramelized brown. Bacon bits, cheese, put it in again until it melts, little ranch dipping sauce or French onion dip, and now you have a very nice appetizer snack. You can make pizzas out of these, right? A little marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, maybe some sausage crumbles, bacon bits again, whatever, and you got yourself a nice little potato pizza. There's endless opportunities and ways to utilize leftover potatoes. Okay? I hate to use the word leftover because, aside from the fact they're leftover, it just sounds negative to me. Okay? We were raised in a house where we always had leftover product. Okay? So, there's your skins. You want to utilize this product for potato salad, for instance, you're going to peel this off. You're just going to peel the skins away. Skins can go in the compost, or these fry up nice also, just the potato skins. And you can use that for a little snack. All depends what you like. Peel these down, dice it up, make yourself a little mayonnaise base, and got a potato salad. Okay? You want to make American fried potatoes for breakfast. Same premise, peel them, dice them, fry them. Okay? All works. You want to make a hash brown potato out of them, get yourself a box grater. I'm going to demo here in just a second. Make this for our breakfast this morning. Alright, all of this now can go in your deep fryer, go in your air fryer, crisp them up, fry them in a pan, dice them up into a hash. Got some corned beef left over, or some sausage crumbles, dice that all up. Maybe even throw it in your biscuits and gravy, all works. Right? It does not have to be discarded. Worst come to worst, compost. Okay? All has a purpose. A cycle of life, if you will. Alright, so American fries, simply draw don't saw again. Make them as meaty as you like. You like a nice meaty potato fried, cut them thicker. You like them crispy, cut them thinner. You're the chef. Hash brown potato. Talked about our box grater. Use the coarse side. All you got to do, just like making coleslaw, shred them, run the potato through it, and now we take this to our frying pan. Not a lot involved. But again, bake them once, use them 3 times. So, hash browns. Sure you get all of them. There you go. So, shredded taters, fried. American fries, good to go. Twice baked, good to go. Endless amount of product you can make out of potatoes. Okay? You want onions in them American fries? Dice them up nice and fine. Remember, the more you cut them, the more cells you rupture, the more flavor you extrude, the faster they cook. Personal preference. All right. Take a look at our boiling potatoes on the stove. As soon as they come up to a boil again, we're going to turn them down. Not quite. All right. Last thing I want to touch on today is rice. Rice is a farinaceous product, as is pasta. I will do another segment down the road on pasta itself. All of it is done the same way. Okay? 2 ways to make either of these products. You can boil them on a stove, or you can bake them in the oven. In the case of rice, you're making a pilaf if you're baking it. Otherwise, you just got boiled rice. Your ratio, quite simple. Whatever you have for rice, 3 times the amount of moisture to make boiled rice. Okay? So if you got a cup of rice, you need 3 cups of water. If you're making a pilaf, it's 2 to 1. Okay? So you're going to use, this is the case, I have 6 ounces of rice. I'm going to use 12 ounces of stock. I'm going to put that together in the pan, put it in the oven, bake that for roughly 25 to 35 minutes, depending on your oven. You want that to be fork tender, nice and light and fluffy. Wonderful product to serve with whatever you want to serve it with. Today we're going to use it for chicken. Okay? Pasta on the stove, same premise, roughly 3 parts water. Bring that to a boil. You want to make sure your water is boiling ahead of time. Again, a little bit of salt in the water. Add your pasta, and what I like to do is have a little fleck of butter or some olive oil in there. That way all your noodles get encapsulated with the fat and they won't stick together in a clump. Stir it every couple, 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the type of pasta. Right? So like an angel hair will be done within 4 to 6 minutes. Macaroni might take up to 20. It's a process that you want to make sure it's al dente, means to the teeth. You bite into the noodle, you want to have it not be mush. Okay, if you get noodles to the point of mush, overcook. All right. There's ways to test pasta. I just put it to my teeth every time. Some folks take spaghetti noodles. If it sticks to the wall, it's good to go. But when it's way overcooked, it'll stick to the wall too. So just keep that in mind. So a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt. The recipe will be attached. It'll be good to go. Any kind of pasta. Another thing I like to do, especially with macaroni, put it on a stove. Bring it back to a boil. Stir in my noodles. Let it cook for 3 minutes. Stir it again. Cover the pot. Set it off to the side. And just set a timer. When it's done, nothing's going to cook to your pan. It's all going to steam release. Your noodles will dump out. You rinse them off. You do what you want with them. Add them to your cheese sauce, what have you. And then you never have to worry about your noodles burning to the bottom of the pan. I see that a lot with my students, especially. They'll put it on the stove. They cook it, cook it, cook it. Don't pay attention. Don't set a timer. And either their noodles are mush or their noodles are burnt because all their water evaporated. So measuring is very important. It's a must to do. And then go through right processes. We'll end up with a very good product for your family. Okay? So I'm going to go through the process of making this rice. Remove all of this out of here so I can bring my stove in. And this is really quite an easy process. Now if you want to, I love these portable burners. They're great for fishing, right? For 50 bucks and the cans, you're out on the lake and it's raining, you can do fish fry. Don't have to worry about the guy who's trying to get a campfire going, okay? Just saying. Get yourself a pan. We're going to put a little fleck of butter in there because I like butter. You melt yourself a little bit of butter. I'm going to use about 2 ounces. 2 ounces would be roughly 4 tablespoons of butter. Okay? I got 6 ounces of rice I'm going to put in there, and this is called rissolé. We're going to toss it in the butter. We're going to coat all of those rice kernels with oil. That's going to keep your rice from clumping and sticking together. Go through this process. And that's relatively easy. Heat or butter, if you wanted to put onions in here, you wanted to put peppers in here, you wanted to put any kind of flavor in here, you wanted to do celery, whatever you wanted to put in, carrots, you cook all of that in your butter before you add your rice. Okay? That'll give you those flavor nuances that you want to add to your dish. Today we're just going to do a simple rice, a little bit of salt and pepper at the end on the table. We're going to brown this butter up a little bit. So we're going to cook it until the moisture evaporates out. It's going to give us a very nutty flavor. The bubbles will all dissipate. It'll start to get a light brown color to the pan. Don't want to burn this. Okay? It's got a very low flash point. Okay? So we want to make sure we just get a nice brown color. We're going to add our rice. Now I got a stock I made last week out of the freezer. Every time I work with something with bones, I make stock out of it. I got pheasant bones tomorrow, I'm going to make stock. I got chicken bones, I make stock. I got pork bones. A couple episodes ago, we did a pulled pork video. I took the bones from the pulled pork, I made a stock. Okay? So with that stock, especially when it comes off the roaster, you're going to have all those flavor nuances from that smoking process. And my stock is very gelatinous. Okay? Jello, all you guys at home that eat raspberry jello. Okay, I hope you can see that jiggling in the picture. All of it is extraction from the bone marrow. I wish you could smell this in here right now. I got the roaster coming through. I got the smoke flavor coming through. You smell the whole air. It's wonderful in here. So I'm going to add about 12 ounces of stock to this now. Remember, 2-to-1 ratio on a peel-off. And aside from a splash of salt and pepper, I'm not going to have to add anything else to this dish. Okay? We coated all of those grains of rice, okay, and I got wild brown and white in here, with oil, a little bit of butter, right? It's not going to stick together now. It's going to be nice and light and fluffy. I'm going to melt my stock, melt that gelatin, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to tent this with some tin foil, put it in my oven. I'm going to bake that for roughly 35 minutes. This will be done. And I'm going to use that with my pork tenderloin dish I'm making tomorrow. Okay? Mise en place. So our potatoes just came to a simmer. Just came to a boil. I turned them down to a simmer. I apologize. We're going to let them go for another 4 to 5 minutes, and then we'll have boiled potatoes. We can have that on the grill or whatever we want to do. Okay? So, until next time we're looking at you, happy cooking.